Welcome to People's Voice on VOPTV, where we amplify the concerns, stories, perspectives, and voices of the Nigerian people. My name is Adefunke Jaisimi, and today on People's Voice, even though reactions have continued to follow the acceptance of JAMB Registrar Professor Ishak Oloyede that the recently concluded UTME examinations were flawed due to technical glitches and has rescheduled the same for those affected. The desperate need for a lasting solution is needed, and this cannot be ignored. But today, our focus is on the lives of millions of Nigerian citizens who daily fight for survival and are still at risk with unending killings perpetrated by bandits, Fulani herdsmen, Boko Haram, and other insurgents. Currently, Nigeria is facing an unprecedented security crisis with widespread killings, kidnappings, and displacement of its citizens. The recent attacks by bandits, Fulani herdsmen, and Boko Haram have left thousands of Nigerians dead, including women and children. In Plateau State, over 195 people were killed in recent attacks, with hundreds of thousands raised and over 10,000 displaced. In Zamfara, bandits continue to terrorize communities, while in Borno State, Boko Haram insurgency has resulted in tens of thousands of deaths and over 2 million displaced so far. The nation's capital, Abuja, is not immune because killings, kidnappings, and attacks occurring within that space is quite alarming, and the situation is quite concerning, with many Nigerians living in fear, uncertainty, and desperation. But the government is under pressure to act. But for us, the question remains about the effectiveness of its response. Today on People's Voice, we would examine the root causes of this insecurity, the impact on affected communities and people, and potential solutions. It's a conversation that has been ongoing for the longest, but we won't stop talking because every Nigerian matters, and because the first assignment, as a matter of fact, the most important assignment of anyone duly elected into office is to protect the lives and properties of Nigeria. But in a situation where Nigerians are struggling and are even desperate about safety, how then do we move from where we are to the expectations we have of a safe society? We would also explore the role of governance, security sector reform, and community-led initiatives in restoring peace and stability to our land. Nigeria is ours. That's the home that we have no matter where we go to around the globe. What we call home is Nigeria, and we deserve a safe space. So we want to hear from you. We want to know your thoughts, and of course, if you have first-hand information and eyewitness details, do well to call us, share your thoughts with us, and your opinion, your experiences too. Call us or text us on 090-4473-2605 or tweet us using the hashtag People's Voice on VOPTV. Do well to also subscribe to our YouTube channel at Voice of the People TV to keep the conversations going, and follow us across all social media platforms at VOPTV Live and make your voice heard. It's time to get real informed and engaged on People's Voice. We will be right back after this break. Don't go away.
To know the happenings in the maritime sector, join us on the program Maritime Frontiers on VOP TV as we discuss key areas in the maritime sector, from aquaculture, maritime transportation, maritime labor regulation, oil and gas exploration, ferry and passenger insurance, marine pollution and prevention, port operations, and lots more.
Join me on Sundays every 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. on Voice of the People TV.
Maritime Frontiers, exploring Nigeria's blue economy.
Step into a world where stories unfold, secrets unravel, and dreams come alive. Every story has a legacy.
Many thanks for staying with the People's Voice on VOP TV, and we are discussing the insecurity ravaging Nigeria, and it's clear that no region is immune. Benue State, once known for its peaceful agrarian communities, has been plagued by herdsmen attacks, killings and displacement. The pain and trauma inflicted on innocent lives are immeasurable, so much that stakeholders are crying for help. Down southwest, where Amotekun is operational, kidnapping and killings are still in the system. It's still in the news because these killings have persisted with people kidnapped over and over again. And even though some will argue it's fair compared to other regions, we cannot but acknowledge the fact that kidnappings are happening in the southwest region. And for the southeast too, insecurity is grappling. The region is grappling with insecurity despite efforts to address it. And it's evident that the situation demands more comprehensive approach. What exactly should the situation be? Is it about declaring a state of emergency on our security, or technical approach to resolving this problem that has become a life-threatening one for Nigerians? But as Nigerians, we are actually tired. We're tired of living in fear. We're tired of hearing about killings. We're tired of kidnappings. We're tired of opening our phones, seeing bodies lying on the floor, helpless. We are tired of seeing people displaced every day. We are tired of our IDP camps filled up with people, governors, agencies supporting with funds, but the community is not rebuilt. We're also tired of seeing our loved ones suffer because, like I would always say, what affects one Nigeria actually affects every one of us. And it's a very critical situation we are in right now, and we need solutions. We need them now because it is an urgent situation. But I'm not alone discussing this conversation today. With me is Dr. Steve Okwori. He is the CEO of Stick Mirac Consulting, a security and safety firm. Dr. Okwori holds a PhD in security and strategic studies, and he is a renowned security expert. Good afternoon and welcome to the show, Dr. Okwori.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, beautiful.
Yeah, many thanks for joining us because we really want to tap into your expertise to explore the cases of insecurity and the potential solutions. So,
thank you for inviting me.
All right, so let's get started. Let's start with the current state of insecurity in Nigeria. Like I said earlier, we are tired. But on your part as a security expert, what's your assessment of the Nigerian security situation?
Yeah, the security situation in Nigeria, as an expert, it's not for the expert alone. As a Nigerian, I'm also worried, and I know that other Nigerians are also worried about the insecurity situation in the country. When we begin to look at what government needs to do, we begin to look at the Constitution. Section 14(2)(b) talks about security and welfare, and this is the primary responsibility of government, right? And now we are not even talking about the welfare of citizens. We are just talking about the security alone. And just the way you said, the issues of insecurity and comments or statements coming from our leaders has become tiring to the ears of Nigerians. You know, when these attacks or incidents happen and some Nigerians are killed, the usual condolence messages and condemning the attacks has become very tiring. And Nigerians expect that we should see something different, from what we have been seeing in the
Right.
last 2 decades or so. This Fourth Republic, all these insecurity issues, I would say, started in this Fourth Republic. Terrorism started in this Fourth Republic. Banditry activities also started in this Fourth Republic, and kidnapping for ransom also started in this democracy that we are practicing, right? So before now, how was it being handled or tackled, right, during the days of the military? Why are we doing it differently now and we're not getting results, right? And as we get along in the conversation, I think we'll have to say one or two things why we're not getting it right,
All right.
in the last 20 years.
All right, thank you very much for that response on the assessment of the security situation in Nigeria. But Dr. Query, given the
Yes.
recent attacks in Plateau State, Benue State, and other North Central states, how would you assess the effectiveness of the government and the security apparatus in addressing the root causes of this conflict, given that uh, we have the minister who is from that region, who people believe that will be able to do more in terms of understanding the root causes and addressing the situation?
Now, you see, when we have insecurity issues and they are handled, uh, they are handled, not handled the way we expect, when we begin to see that there is some sort of politics, that is being played, right? Then you don't expect to get resolved. I asked questions how we were tackling insecurity issues before we got into this democracy,
Democracy, yeah.
right? Then the issues were tackled, insecurity issues were handled based on professionalism, right? We had the military in place, and appointments were given based on what you know, what you can offer, right? Politics was not the in thing, right? And all that. But right now, because of politics, our politicians are looking at the next election and not looking at the next level or stage where they need to protect the lives of citizens of this country. Now, we cannot tackle insecurity issues based on speculation or based on guesswork, right? We must be sure when we are trying to tackle insecurity issues in this country. Now, for the issues happening in Plateau, Benue, and the likes, you will discover or you will agree with me, but there's this inconsistency in the perpetrators of this criminal act. For instance, I give you Benue. Before the essay to the governor came on national television to say that the perpetrators of this act or nefarious activity were Fulani headsmen, suspected Fulani headsmen. 24 hours after the essay spoke on TV, the governor himself came on TV to say they were foreigners.
Right.
Now how do we now know who these people are? How do we now know their identity when we begin to hear statements coming from the essay to the governor and from the governor, different statements or comments coming from the two of them? Now, I want to believe that the police and the other relevant security agencies have failed when it has to do with intelligence, because intelligence is good understanding of the situation. It means that you have gotten information about the issues or the challenges, and you have processed that information for it to become an intelligence. By the time it becomes an intelligence, it means that you have had good understanding of the issue. Now, who feeded the governor of Benue State that intelligence report that the perpetrators were foreigners?
Foreigners.
I don't know. No, I don't know, right? But as the chief executive or the chief security officer of the state, I want to believe that any comment or statement coming from him should be the one that the Benin citizens should take to heart, to believe the true situation of the state. And it's applicable to Plateau as well. The governor keeps coming to say they are terrorists, they are this, they are that. Now, why I said the intelligence community have failed is that they have not truly come out to tell Nigerians or the victims of these attacks that these are the people that have committed these acts of criminality on your community, right?
Okay.
So we cannot continue to go back and forth like that.
Okay.
We must carry out proper and detailed investigation, and that in doing that, that is when we will know the identity of these people. Are they foreigners or are they Nigerians? Then in doing that as well, that is when you now begin to look out for solutions, strategies, and tactics to apply. We cannot continue to do the same thing over and over again and expect a different result. Each time these attacks
Absolutely.
happen, the police, the military will deploy the security agents or personnel to these communities, right? They will go condole and all that, bring up a whole lot of ceremony. At the end of the day, they withdraw them back after a week or 2 weeks. At the end of the day, these communities will now become more vulnerable to attacks. These criminal elements will go and regroup and come back again and continue to kill them, right?
Okay.
So just the way you must have to get to the root cause. If you don't get to the root cause, then you are not going to get ahead at all.
All right, still talking about assessment of the situation. I quite agree with you on the part of adequate information, because if we do not even understand what the exact situation is, how then can we move forward to tackle the situation? But you would
Exactly.
agree with me that insecurity is spreading wide in Nigeria as we speak right now. And on the part of the people, you just said that yes, security agencies will be sent to locations for about a week, for some weeks, and after that, the people are left all by themselves. So a lot of Nigerians are gradually losing faith and trust in the system, and a lot of people are being displaced, no doubt. But still assessing the situation, how do you evaluate the impact of this attack on the nation's economy, social stability, and global reputation? Because Benue State that you mentioned was once known as a beautiful, peaceful place. I mean, everything food is Benue, it's peaceful. There are people that love visitors. There's something about Benue State that speaks to a community of people that welcome whatever would develop the nation, and they have been supporting the economy when it comes to food and planting and all of that, agriculture generally. So with the situation Benue State is facing, Plateau State is not left out of the situation. Borno is being hit hard. Even down southwest, we have cases of kidnappings for ransom. A lot of money is being paid to these people to be able to redeem their own people. At the end of the day, some people are even killed after ransom are paid. In the southeast, we've seen cases of, oh, these are unknown gunmen. Some will say, oh, they are Fulani herdsmen. It is spreading very wide. What are the impacts on the nation and our global reputation?
Yes, there's a whole lot of impact, and we cannot continue to deceive ourselves. You see, until we own up to the challenges, then we begin to look out for way out, begin to look out for solutions. Security, when there's no security in place, of course, you agree with me that it affects a whole lot of things. It affects businesses, it affects trade, it affects the movement of goods and services from one location to another. It affects a whole lot. It affects development, right? Just the way you mentioned Benue. There's a community, Ayati community in Benue, in Zakibia, right? In Ikum local government. That this community, every blessed day, trucks of yams that leaves that market every day is not less than 100 trucks of yams that leaves this very community. Bandits went to that community and killed 40 traders and farmers in that community. As I speak to you today, it has affected the economic activity in that community.
Right.
Right? The market is as dry as anything as I speak to you. And as I speak to you, they are still coming to kill people or residents around that area. So nothing is happening. Plateau State used to be the home of peace and tourism. As we speak, is Plateau State still the home of peace and tourism? The answer is no. And it's also affecting farming activities, right? In Plateau, they are known for the production of carrots, cabbage, what do you call it now, Irish potatoes and all that.
True.
You can't get it the way it used to be when insecurity issues were not the way it is today. And because some farmers take the risk of going to their farms to farm these crops. At the end of the day, because the demand now becomes so high and the supply now is low, right? Because some farmers are scared of approaching their farms. Now demand is high, supply is low. What do you expect? The price of these commodities
Will be higher.
have skyrocketed.
True.
Yes, so it has affected a whole lot of things, and you agree with me that insecurity affects foreign direct investment.
Right.
You don't expect foreign people to come from outside the shores of this country that they're going to come and invest in Nigeria. It is not possible. The world is a global village. The moment you access your internet, just type insecurity issues in Nigeria, a whole lot will pop up. As I speak to you, the last survey that was carried out about the rate of crime, the survey was done amongst the 163 countries. Nigeria was ranked 144, a country with high rate of crime. The Global Terrorism Index of last year that was released this year, Nigeria is ranked number 7.
That's sad.
Right? And if you look at the Global Peace Index as well of 2024, that was also released this year, amongst a country of 163 in the survey, Nigeria is ranked about 140 something in the survey. So it means that there's no peace in Nigeria. Nigeria is not peaceful. Terrorism is high. Terrorism is not about suicide bombing alone. People mistake terrorism to be suicide bombing alone. That is not it. Any acts of terrorism has to do with kidnapping for ransom, destruction of government and private infrastructures or properties, forced marriages, suicide bombings, and all that. And these are the things that we're experiencing in Nigeria at the moment. So
Right.
when all these things are happening, you expect development to thrive. It's not possible, right? So the government and the security agencies, they really need to step up. And unfortunately for us, the criminal elements are always ahead. I've said it times without number that they're always
Exactly.
ahead.
You took that
Exactly.
out of my mouth because the fact that these people are always ahead, no matter what
They're
we
always
say
ahead.
as a country, it is what it is.
Exactly.
And there are concerns about the competency of our security apparatus and these
Mhm.
concerns about whether they are competent enough, talking about our security agencies and how they choose to handle these threats. I would like
Yes.
to get your take on their competence first. And secondly, I
Mhm.
also want to ask this. Do you think that the security agencies have the necessary resources, training, and
Yes.
expertise to tackle these complex security challenges? Because just this week, we saw a video of an attack on the military camp in Borno State.
Exactly.
Not one,
Exactly.
not two, different
Mhm.
locations. And we
Mhm.
see how a military person was running for his dear life, saying that
I'm
he is
telling you.
tired, he wants to carry whatever is left because they even took away their properties before setting their building on fire. That he wants to take whatever is left and run away. In another video, we saw security operatives in uniform, even though their faces were not shown, crying like babies. These are the
Mhm.
people that are supposed to be in charge of our security. Where
Yes.
then do we put the everyday citizens? How then do we trust that we are safe in our country? The other day, the president visited Anambra State. There was a viral video of a young man who was saying that, oh, so we have this kind of security
Security.
apparatus
Yeah.
in our country
Mhm.
and everything seems seamless, that if this is what we experience every day, maybe, just maybe, those perpetrating this evil will be scared. I mean, there will be something to threaten them from operating the way they are operating. And thirdly,
Mhm.
how can the
Yes.
security apparatus be reformed to better respond to these threats and protect the Nigerian citizens?
Now, you have said a whole lot, and a lot of questions that you have said there or asked. Now, when it has to do with if our security personnel or agents
Competence enough.
are yes. Now we have seen where they excelled when they had to go out of the shores of this country to carry out some security duties, right? They both the military and the police, they've gone out of the shores of this country and they excelled. Why did they excel there? It's because they are competent, they are well equipped, and they were motivated by the UN. You know, all those what do you call them now? All those operations outside this country are taken charge or taken care of by the UN. You
Okay.
know, so we have seen where, yes, we have seen where they excelled. Our soldiers, they did wonderfully well in Sudan, Liberia, when they were during the ECOMOG reign and all that. The police were in Sudan and they excelled. They came back with medals, right? So if they excel or they excelled while they were on foreign operations, right? What is making them not to excel back home here? A whole lot comes to play.
Okay.
Now, are we doing the right thing as security agencies? Are people or personnel posted to or deployed to offices or positions where they are professionally fit to be there? That's a question, right? Because we have allowed politics to cripple into issues bordering on security. I must say, are you there?
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yes, we have allowed politics to cripple into issues bordering on security, and that is where we have missed it. Now, you cannot have a minister of defense, a core politician, and a former governor of a state, and an accountant by profession, and a minister of state for defense, a core politician, and a former governor, and I don't know his qualification, whether they say he went to Yabatek or one thing, I don't even know how what he read, right? Then you come and have a minister of police affairs, a former governor, a politician, and an accountant by profession. He's also his minister of state for police affairs, not a professional in terms of security. We have the minister of interior,
Wow.
an electronic engineer, also a politician, a former House of Rep member, And these are ministries that have to do with security, right? When you go to the National Assembly, you have different committees on Army, Navy, Air Force, Police Affairs, National Security and Intelligence. All the chairmen of these committees are politicians.
So
Now,
the choice of appointees is actually a problem already.
it's contributing. It's
Okay,
contributing to it. Yes, it's contributing to it. You can't take that away.
right.
Even within the hierarchies or the police or the military and all that, some postings or deployments or appointments made are not made based on the capacity or the capability of these people. Some of them do it based on who they know, favoritism, and the likes, right? That is one aspect of it, and that is where we are missing it. We must, when we want to get it right, let us see that we do the right thing. What
Okay.
is expected of security agencies? Can, for crying out loud, how can we have Boko Haram, ISWAP members go bomb our military bases, not once, not twice, happen simultaneously, almost at the same time, and we are still
Destroying
not
national properties.
exactly. So, for me, I think that the military have let loose their guards. You know, this is war. Nigeria is at war. We must accept that Nigeria is at war. You know, so why will you now get relaxed or I want to believe that they became complacent at some point.
Do
They
you
felt that they
think,
have recorded some.
sorry, let me come in there. Do you think that they let down their guards? Do you think they became complacent, or do you sense the possibility of a sabotage? Because some analysts have suggested that there may be saboteurs within the system undermining the security efforts. And I mean, this cannot be taken out of the equation if you ask me. But do you think this is a plausible explanation for the persistence of insecurity?
Absolutely, I agree. A whole lot is wrong. I want to believe that they became complacent, thinking that they had recorded some successes because at some point the issues burden on Boko Haram and ISWAP members reduced drastically. You can't take that away during the reign of former President Muhammadu Buhari, right? So I want to believe that they became relaxed. You know, even some of them during the attack before this one or two soldiers said they were relaxed. Why will you be relaxed when you are at the war front, right? And the possibility of sabotage,
Exactly.
it cannot be wished away. You know, because when you recruit and you don't carry out due diligence, you don't vet, you don't do background checks of recruits, right? You don't know where they are coming from. A politician will send list of his constituents that they should get them recruited into the army, into the air force, into the navy and the police, right? And proper background checks by the authorities are not done. They used to be doing it
Okay.
before. They will send a form. They will send a form to your local government. Your chief, your clan heads will have to guarantee that they know you. You're of good behavior, of good character, and all that.
Okay,
But
doctor.
are we?
Since you
Yes,
agree that there are possibilities of saboteurs in the system,
yes.
who might these saboteurs be? What could have been the motivations for this? To what end? And how can the government identify and address potential internal threats to national security? Because I like the fact that you point out how these things used to be done, where lists will be sent to a local government and people who are trying to get into the security apparatus get to be investigated and at least a background check to an extent. But if we are here where we are right now, we are looking for the way forward. What can the
Yeah.
government do differently to address this internal threat to our national security? Because trust me, it is a big problem already.
It's a big problem. First of all, the government needs to own up. They need to agree. You see, let me tell you something. It's until when you accept that this is a challenge, this is your problem, that you can be able to fix it, right? Now, when constructive critics come on air to say this is what we think, this is what we think, rather than the government accepting that yes, it's a challenge, the government wants to put up defense all the time. It can't work like that, you know. So you must agree that this is a challenge and you are ready to fix them. These problems have been there. We have the history of this problem. We have experienced the problems or the challenges, and the realities is staring us at the face. So what is it that we are not doing right? We are expected to go back to the drawing board. We cannot continue to just the way I said. You can't continue to do the same thing and you expect a different result.
Okay,
Now, these crimes most especially happen in our very rural communities.
Mm-hmm.
Do we have the presence of our conventional security agencies in these our rural communities? The answer is no. So what do we now do as a government, as security agencies, that will have security presence in these rural communities, that when these criminal elements come, there should be some group of people that should confront them, confront them, able to win them, right? Because these guys carry more sophisticated arms than the police and the military,
No doubt.
right? So how do we now close that gap? We're in this country where criminal elements fly their own drones, they have their own gun trucks in this
Exactly.
country,
Exactly.
and this is a sovereign nation, for crying out loud,
Doctor,
right?
I
So
don't know if you saw a video that was trending, I think on Tuesday or thereabout, where a supposed member of the House of a representative was complaining about insecurity in the northern region, and he also highlighted the fact that this would have been buried during the Jonathan's administration, saying that mercenaries were brought in to tackle the insecurity, and that these people were supposed to use technology, implement the efficiency of technology, that they just need to be somewhere, track what is happening, and fly their drones and do what was necessary. That, but because of their selfish interests, their political sentiments and bias, they didn't allow that fly, and because of what they were going to gain from it. But now the situation is terribly bad. I don't know if you saw that video, but in all of this,
yes.
how can governments engage with local communities and gather intelligence to
Now,
prevent attacks? And how important is it for us to bring in mercenaries at this point?
now let me say that members of the National Assembly, they are also culpable in these issues that we are talking about. Do you know why?
Tell us about it.
Okay. The members of the National Assembly, just the way I said, they have committees on army, the navy, interior, and all that. Committee on defense. Now, they have the constitutional responsibility to carry out oversight functions on our security agencies.
True.
Effective oversight function. Are they carrying out oversight functions on security agencies to know why they are failing, why they are succeeding in one regard and failing in the other regard? It's their constitutional responsibility. And what's the essence of oversight functions? Is to expose corruption and inefficiency, right?
Mm.
Are you with me, Ade?
I'm with you. I can hear you, sir.
Yeah. So the essence of oversight functions is to expose ineffectiveness, inefficiency, and corruption. You agree with me that corruption has very serious role to play in what we are saying here. So if the national members of the National Assembly that are saddled with such responsibility have failed to carry out such oversight function, you want to come and exonerate them and say they are not culpable. They are also part of the issues. The Kuje Correctional Center that was attacked by some terrorists during the period of when Buhari was president. The then Senate President Ahmed Lawan went to that same correctional center. And on national TV, he said he's shocked that CCTV cameras are not functional or are not working in that
True.
correctional center.
True.
So can you imagine that a correctional center doesn't have functional CCTV cameras, and we have committee on interior, both in the House of Senate and House of Reps, because the correctional center, Nigerian Correctional Service, falls under the committee on interior.
Okay, but because of
So
time, Doctor, what's the way forward in a minute, please?
the way forward is that as a country, as security agencies, as Nigerians, because those of us, some Nigerians that are not in the security business or something, they also have roles to play. They're also security managers. If you see something, you say it to the relevant security agencies. But my problem is even the response. The response time. Will it be swift? Will they respond the way they are supposed to do? See, my dear sister, a whole lot is wrong. Until we agree to go back to the drawing board, experts should come and say, okay, this is the way to go. These are our recommendations. We have made a lot of recommendations, and these recommendations have been kept in one shelf of the other, full of dust. When President Buhari was president, the current speaker, that is chief of army staff, chief of staff to the president today,
Yeah.
they formed a committee on national security and all that. And memorandum was sent to the committee asking for expert opinions about how to settle tackle insecurity issues in this country. I did one. I made 7 recommendations to that committee, and four was picked, and it's contained in that report that was submitted to President Buhari. Now that report was kept in a shelf somewhere.
Was it
It wasn't
implemented?
used. It wasn't implemented. That's the point I'm
Sadly
making. It wasn't
so.
implemented. So then we have the chief of staff that was speaker then. What is wrong with him dusting that report and bring it to
To
President
the
Tinubu and
current
say,
president.
Your Excellency, when I was speaker, this was what we did. And this report, and I think that if we implement it, it will go a long way in tackling this insecurity issue. And they're not doing it. And that's where we begin to ask questions about the political will.
Exactly. The political will is something that we cannot take out of the equation
Is it,
when we
is it that when they
demand
get
for
into office, they
accountability.
get into office? Is it that when they get into office, they tend to forget a whole lot that they were thinking that was supposed to be right while they were outside office?
Okay. Thank you very much, Doctor. But please stay on the call, but we need to go on a quick break now. When we return, we'll get talking and go straight to explain what exactly has been happening on insecurity in Nigeria since 1999. Stay with us.
VOPTV, now streaming on SLTV channel 264. From breaking news to captivating conversations, news analysis, giving you all sides to the story. We break in-depth discussions on the issues that matter, from politics to sports, entertainment, and lifestyle. VOPTV on SLTV channel 264. Join us as we redefine what television means to you. Voice of the People Television, VOPTV. Now you have more than a voice.
Many thanks for staying with the People's Voice on VOP TV, and it's time to get straight to the point again. Over 30,000 estimated Nigerians have lost their lives to insecurity since the beginning of the Fourth Republic in 1999, with thousands more displaced. Meanwhile, our elected officials seem more focused on politicking than addressing the root causes of this crisis. Since the beginning of the Fourth Republic, various measures have been taken to tackle insecurity, including military operations, amnesty programs, and community policing initiatives, which not every region have not accepted. However, the question remains, at what point did the government lose its grip on security? Because de-radicalizing repentant terrorists is a contentious issue, if you ask me, and I'm sure this is what a lot of Nigerians think. Some have argued that it is a necessary step towards rehabilitation, while some others believe it's unfair to Nigerian citizens who suffered at the hands of these terrorists. But I'll come to my guest again, Dr. Query. Hello, Dr. Query.
I'm with you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, so talking about de-radicalizing repentant terrorists, which has become a contentious issue with people saying that, oh, it's a good step towards building a better society, while majority of the people are insisting that it is unfair to citizens who have suffered at the hands of these terrorists. What's your take on this?
I'm happy you said that majority of the citizens are not happy with the program, and I'm also part of the citizens that is not happy with the program. I have never supported the program, right? You cannot have people that have made children orphans, made women widows, made men widowers, destroyed their communities and all that. Then at the end of the day, you now come and tell Nigerians that they have repented, and that as a result of their repentance, their sins are now forgiven for them to go and reintegrate back into their society. It can't happen like that. Why do we have punishment? Why do we have the Terrorism Prevention and Prohibition Act? Why do we keep amending the Terrorism Act, to suit current realities? Why do we have that? These laws are supposed to be made for man and not for animals. You have the law in place, and the perpetrators of this crime are not punished. Now, where is the deterrent when it has to do with this? Are you telling me that it's not going to give potential terrorists reasons why they should also go into such acts of terrorism?
Right.
They also come out one day and say they have also repented, and for the government to forgive them, pamper them, treat them, give them, empower them with some sort of skills and cash. Now, if you say they have repented, it means that where the government needs to also go to prisons. Already, criminals are also have there for them to say they have also repented, and also ask them to go
Right.
free. There's this community resistance that no, you cannot cause all this mayhem on our families, on our communities, and you come and say you have repented. The community is resisting them. Now, the program, what have they put in place in terms of monitoring these repentant the Boko Haram fighters? Now you have said they should go. They have gone back to their communities. Who monitors them? Who knows whether they have gone back into these acts of criminality again? How will you know, right?
The people cannot even
So for
comfortable.
me,
The people won't be comfortable having them around, knowing what
absolutely,
they are
you
known
can,
for.
you can. Let me tell you something. Stories of insecurity are better told by victims, right? So you cannot just sit somewhere as a government and just assume that these people have come, they have said they have repented and all that. And most of them did not even voluntarily surrender, right? It was because of the firepower that the military and the other security agencies were giving them in the forest. They overpowered them and they now came out to say they have surrendered. It wasn't, for some of them, it was not even genuine surrendering, you know. So a whole lot is wrong. And they try to see how to categorize them. Some of them, they say they are low risk, some of them are high risk. How do you now know that this set of people are low risk? Isn't
Okay.
that what they tell you that you will take?
Right. Okay, so as it is now, low risk, high risk, the fact is nobody will be comfortable around someone that has done harm to you, no matter how much repentance you preach to them. But how can the government
Absolutely.
balance the need to de-radicalize repentant terrorists with the need to ensure justice and accountability for victims of the same terrorism? And also, what would your message be for the Nigerian citizens? What message do you think that the government should convey to the Nigerian citizens about its commitment to addressing insecurity?
Number one, let me tell you, when you talk about this repentant Boko Haram, there's already absence of justice when it has to do with the victims. The victims are left alone. The government even abandon victims. They just gather victims and put them in IDP camps. So at the end of the day, you discover that the criminal elements are more pampered than victims. It's not supposed to be like that. It should be the other way. These people should be punished for crime that they commit against humanity, against the state, right? So there shouldn't be access of justice. You should rather build the hope of victims that justice will be melted to these criminal elements on their behalf. But you're not even giving them that sense of hope. You can't work like that, right? So I think the government should think of other ways of tackling these issues of insecurity when it has to do with terrorism. For me, punishment is the way to go. Let them be punished. Do you know that the section of the Terrorism Prohibition Act says that anybody that sits in a meeting or a gathering where issues bordering on terrorism are discussed, right? The minimum prison sentence is 20 years. But here we are talking about people that actually killed people, destroyed government properties and private properties and all that. And you are saying that they have repented and they should go, their sins have been forgiven. It can't work like that. There's no deterrence there. So we must see that they are punished, no matter how the government how they want to go about it. Let them be punished so that it will serve as deterrent. Now, it's not serving as deterrent. That's why we keep having attacks here and there. Nothing deters them. Nobody is punished. Rather, they are even celebrated. They are pampered.
All right.
Otherwise, if they are being punished, will they be carrying out acts of terrorism right now in Bruno and the other states? The answer is no. So let them be
Exactly.
punished.
All
Right.
right. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Dr. Okori. Thank you so much for sharing your expertise and insights on this complex and disturbing security challenges facing Nigeria. Well,
Yeah.
it is clear that addressing insecurity requires a multifaceted approach that involves both the government, civil society, and the local community. So to our viewers this day, I say thank you so much for joining us again. Hope that the conversation has shed a lot of light on the urgent need for the collective action to ensure the safety and security of all Nigerians. And like our guest said, if you see something, say something. Even if you are scared, make sure that you communicate to the right channel. And as we close this show today, we urge our leaders, the people in government, those within the corridors of power, to prioritize the security and well-being of the Nigerian citizens. We also call on Nigerians to remain vigilant and work together, building a safer and more prosperous nation. My name is Adefunke Jaisimi. Until I come your way next time, stay engaged, informed, and believe in the project Nigeria. Nigeria will be great again. Good afternoon.